I want to tell this story to warn of the horrors that lurk in the darkness. My name is Lacey, and I need to put this information out there. I live in a town that's more separated from anywhere. It is right in the middle of a forest. But we have 3 stores, a gym, a school, a small energy plant, and a bunch of houses. Our town is very isolated, but we have very little crime. We have such low crime that we barely have any law enforcement. But we also have a small bank that will occasionally get robbed. Now this could connect to my experience, but a man once robbed the bank and shot and killed the man instead of robbing it. What happened to the robber, murderer in this case, historically had beef with the man he shot and killed. The murderer then disappeared. Our so-called authorities never caught him. He ran into the forest to never be seen again. As that was happening, someone on the internet was telling of a similar story with many missing people and animals. And the thing responsible was a giant rat, simply called Chucky, as he was the mascot of the building. I didn't believe the story at first, as it has been debunked and faked by the authorities. It was just a murderous manager and no giant rat. But now I do believe it. My experience was much worse. My town did have stories about skinwalkers and wendigos. When I told my family and friends of my story, they said what I saw was a wendigo. But they are wrong. Let's start at the beginning. I was unpopular at school, and I was bullied by the popular kids, but I don't know what it was. I was always nice to everybody, and I would help anyone and anything. That's maybe why I was an easy target. My friends would always comfort me in the toughest times, and they did. They were always nice to me, but it didn't stop the popular girls from putting me down. They would say stuff like, "You're small and weak, you're stupid, you'll never find love, you're a dork." I would never tell my parents about them. They would tell me they are just jealous, or they just want to be you, but I would not listen to them. But I listened to the popular girls, and it hurt me. I did feel small and weak. I did feel stupid. I was a dork. Later I became very self-conscious about everything. My guard came all the way down. I was scared. They would continue to harass me. I never wanted to stop them. I was too nice. One night, when I came home, crying, my parents came to my room. My mother asked me what was wrong. I told her everything, but I told her not to tell the principal because I didn't want to make things worse, as I am outnumbered. She looked at me and frowned. She said one day they will get what they deserve. I smiled at my mother. Then I lied in bed. Tomorrow will be a new day. When I went to school the next morning, one of the mean girls jump-scared me with a boo. She laughed and said if Chucky is going to kill anyone, it would be you. She went back with her group. As my guard was down, I then became paranoid, and I was already scared. It was the time the Chucky story reached us. And with the appearance of the murderer, people were all afraid, or using it against the weak. People were chanting, "Chucky will get you." People who were popular now picked on everyone. I'm not the only one anymore, but I was still the main target. One of my bully's boyfriends offered to take her to the forest to prove he wasn't scared. She accepted. As another day passed, the group of bullies was discussing how the boyfriend went missing. The girl was crying, saying how she was playing hide and seek. She was the seeker, and the round lasted too long and she went home, and he hasn't returned. I accidentally mumbled. I guess they both got what they deserved. They overheard that. One of the four grabbed me. The one crying almost yelled with a hit until the leader stopped her. She wore a smile, like the Grinch when he got the idea to steal Christmas. I was preparing for the worst until she said, "We'll stop picking on you, and better yet, you will become one of us if you come with us to go camping." I thought only for a moment. I forgot for a little while about Chucky or the disappearances. I got home that night, packed all my stuff, and slept. They picked me up in the morning. They were super nice to me in the car and on the drive there. We got out at the campsite. "This is the spot," one of the girls said. "Right, Jenna. We'll help you. Just let us set up the camp. I'll go and check with you," said another. I helped set up the camp. The entire time, they were nice, and we all helped to look with no results. It got dark. The sun started to go down. A fire was lit. A big shadow cast in front of the fire. It looked like the head of a deer with big horns in the shape of a tree. But I told myself it was just a tree, as it did not move. A small breeze blew past. The leader noticed the shadow. "You know what it reminds me of?" she said. "What is it, Luna?" "It reminds me of the Wendigo." "Ooh, tell us," Jenna asked. "Well, the Wendigo is a goat-like creature that hunts lost travelers using the person's most trusted people's voices," Luna explained. "That could have taken him," Jenna said in tears. "Hey, we will find him," the third girl said. "Unless the Wendigo got to him," girl 4 yelled. The shadow now had 2 white big circles in the deer head shape. The fire blew out, revealing the darkness with a massive breeze. The girl started screaming. I covered my head in fear. "It's the Wendigo," one of the girls yelled. "No, it's just a story," Luna said. "What about Chucky?" "He's just a story too, right?" We all calmed down a little bit, but that did not last long. We could hear footsteps in the distance. They grew louder as they got closer, the sound of leaves and sticks crunching. They all huddled together and left me by myself. Heavy breathing could be heard in the distance now, but that grew closer with the footsteps. I was frozen in fear. "Mark, is that you?" Jenna said in a trembly voice. The thing that happened next gave all of us chills. We had her low, raspy voice. "No, I already dealt with him." "Are you the murderer? Because I can fight," one of the girls responded. "No, I dealt with him too." "Are you Chucky?" one of the other girls said. The voice and footsteps stopped. The leaves started to shake. Then those stopped too. "Chucky, is that the name you gave to the rat? He will meet his doom for making those suffer, just like these." A big thud landed in front of the campfire. A big bulge of white light illuminated what landed. They all screamed. The voice yelled, "You will all die for making her suffer," as the creature pointed to me. The girls all started to run. The white eyes disappeared. All I could hear from where I was screaming. But I heard one scream get cut out with a big crunch. Another pair screaming got cut out. "Do you know what it's like to feel small and weak?" the creature said. Crunch. Another scream cut off with a crunch. When I got in the car, I immediately started it. "Now you can join your boyfriend." Crunch. the headlights turned on the really big creature holding Jenna's body, with her head ripped off. The creature was made of all shadow. Long deer-looking legs, long arms with sharp claws, a deer head with tree-shaped horns. One of the white eyes winked at me. This creature then said, "I only kill those who make others suffer." He closed his eyes and walked back into the wilderness, dragging Jenna's body behind him. After this experience, I have learned to just keep being nice. I haven't been picked on ever since. I now know of the truth, the horrors that lurk outside in the dark. But always stay kind and help those in need. I plan to revisit the forest one day. I've named this creature the Shadow Man. He only harms those who harm others. Well, now my story is out there, and I know the truth. The Shadow Man and Chucky are very real and not to be messed with. I do need to say, I didn't want to say this before, but when you go to the forest, the Shadow Man warned me to never litter in the forest. So thanks for that advice, I guess. And one final thing. The thing that landed in front of the campfire were the mangled bodies of the murderer and Jenna's boyfriend.